Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to be with you to celebrate the efforts Rotarians make to advance international understanding, goodwill, and peace. Thank you to Peter, Kyle, and Patricia Borowski for inviting me. And while I regret I could not attend in person, I'm grateful to be able to talk to you about several things, including several projects that Unite Help Ukraine is doing, including a great collaboration between Rotary and Unite Help Ukraine, and all the amazing work and tremendous efforts the Rotarians put into helping Ukrainian people who are greatly affected by war. What I want to talk to you about is what is it to be in the war for 8 months? Just think about 8 months of war in Ukraine, almost 8 million refugees from Ukraine in Europe, over 6 million people who are internally displaced within Ukraine. Those people left everything behind. Sometimes they had nothing to leave behind because their cities, their houses, their apartments were bombed. They left with nothing. But that's not the major thing. That's not the major loss. Think about civilian casualties. Think about military casualties that we don't even know about. Over 6,000 people killed, close to 10,000 people wounded, including so many children. Russia is brutally attacking not only on the battlefield, but mostly now, Russia is attacking civilians. 645 attacks on healthcare facilities. And we have witnessed attacks on maternity wards, hospitals, and other medical facilities. We see that Russia also attacks educational institutions. Over 2,000 attacks on institutes, universities, schools, kindergartens. And the winter is coming. And now we have over 40% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure destroyed. Think about it, in just one day, on November 15th, Russia has launched more than 100 missiles across Ukraine. Look at the map, what we see here. It's nowhere in Ukraine that people can feel safe. Kyiv, Kharkiv, Lviv, Zaporizhia, and other cities were targeted. Over 100 missiles, more Iranian drones that fell on Ukraine in just one day. But we as an organization, and we know that Rotary does the same, we look at the problem and we say, what can we do to help? I'm from Ukraine, I'm from Kyiv, and so many of my friends and family are still there in Ukraine. My father in the hospital in Kyiv refused to leave, saying he's going to stay with his patients. My sister in Lviv, trying to help with humanitarian aid, also refusing to leave because she knows her place is there to help as much as she can. But we here can do the same. We can help as much as we can from what we know to do best, how we know to do best, and we can definitely make sure Ukrainians have everything they need to survive this war, to survive this winter, and to win this war. I'll tell you from my personal experience, Ukrainians will not back down, they will not back up, they will fight to the end because they fight for their land, their freedom, and their democracy. And there is no way that Ukrainians will surrender that, their freedom. So our organization is doing everything to support Ukrainians in their righteous fight. We have deployed in the past 8 months over $25 million in the form of medical supplies, tactical gear, and humanitarian aid. And if you think about what's needed most, at the very first months of the war, Ukrainian defenders were in great need of medical supplies. We've established logistics and delivery of aid to the front lines immediately. over 35,000 first aid kits, 120,000 tourniquets, over 50,000 hemostatic gauze, everything that the Ukrainian defenders need: uniforms, food, water, fuel, hygienic products, drones, radios. We supplied within the first months of Russia's war. But we also see a tremendous increase in casualties, in wounded, not only in military, but civilians as well. We have a great medical program where we already spent over $1.6 million in procuring medical supplies and equipment, but also we have received over 10 million in-kind donations from different organizations and governments. We've received $5.5 million worth of ventilators and other medical supplies from Maryland Governor's Office. We've received millions of syringes. We received containers of medical equipment from organizations such as MedWish, Project Cure, and others. And we continue to supply hospitals with everything that they might need. We also see a very serious humanitarian crisis that is approaching, especially because the winter is coming. And with 40% of Ukraine without power, that means the winter is going to be brutal. That means people will be with no heat, and the winter in Ukraine is cold and snowy. That means people cannot cook food, they cannot get help, they cannot get communication. So we understand that perfectly, that we need right now a very serious humanitarian assistance, and we're providing it on the ground, working with local partners, local NGOs who can deliver supplies such as generators, food, hygienic items to remote areas, and especially to those areas that have been recently deoccupied. People in those areas, in those villages in Kharkiv, Donetsk, and now Kherson regions, those people haven't seen a doctor or haven't seen a decent meal in months. We're working on that as well. And we also understand that vehicles is a #1 priority in Ukraine. Ambulances, fire engines. Think about those 100 missiles in one day. Even though the air defense system of Ukraine is quite efficient, still 20 of those landed and caused fire. So we support firefighters and also first responders with everything we can. We provide evacuation vehicles. Over 150 has been provided so far, and we continue doing so. So this is something that I just wanted to share with you and want to thank you all, because with your support, with support of organizations like Rotary International, we are able to provide as much as we can. And this is the reason why Ukrainians are defending and winning. So our medical aid program, in our medical aid program, we focus on emergency, anesthesiology, surgery, trauma, and burns. So you can see here, we deliver all types of equipment, supplies, large equipment, small, and we cover so many regions. Over 11 regions are covered. Over 30 hospitals receive supplies from United Help Ukraine and now Rotary as well. And we make sure that those locations cover frontline hospitals and also hospitals which receive so many wounded. Just one hospital in Kharkiv that we are helping together with Rotary, just one hospital receives from 90 to 120 wounded a day. Just think about it. Just one hospital in Kharkiv, almost 120 patients, wounded patients a day, including civilians and children. And that's the reason we really focus on providing medical aid and assistance to Ukrainian hospitals. We also know that evacuation is critical. We supply ambulances and evacuation vehicles, but we also try to procure items that are necessary to equip the vehicle. So over 50 ambulances have been equipped so far with emergency equipment such as portable ventilators, defibrillators, and other things. And this is the photograph that really that's really striking. This is a surgery room in the children's hospital. This is what Russia does right now. No light, capital is in the dark, and so are so many cities in Ukraine. But people are resilient. They continue to work. They continue to do their jobs. Here, cardiosurgeons are performing a surgical operation on a patient in children's clinic. And I can tell you, even people who I know, people who work for United Help Ukraine and volunteer for United Help Ukraine at the warehouse, they do not stop when they hear a siren. They do not stop when there is no light and it's cold. But when there is a truck going to the hospital, that truck delivers our supplies. They will not stop until they load the truck and the truck is gone. And this is just one example showing how brave, resilient, and determined people of Ukraine are to win this war. And as I said, winter is coming. We see a problem, we provide a solution. So we've been purchasing generators. Those are portable devices that work on diesel or gasoline. And so far, we've procured and distributed over 400 generators. We also know the winter is coming. That means people might not be able to work, might not be able to get salaries, and they will not be compensated, most likely. So it's not a shortage of food in Ukraine, but rather inability of people to buy food, or in remote villages, not being able to access the food. So we partner with some organizations who supply food for internally displaced people, local people who are most vulnerable to Russia's aggression. What we also do is we think about future. And this is something that a lot of some of the organizations are also trying to raise money for and look forward to what's going to happen to Ukraine when the war is over. Besides rebuilding and reconstructing the physical objects, besides providing rehabilitation to wounded soldiers, wounded civilians, and children, we need to think about psychological rehabilitation of children and, of course, adults as well, those who received severe war traumas. And at the moment, we have a very special program that was first designed in Israel called Hibuki therapy, which helps children aged 3 to 8 to go over the mental issues and their fears and project their emotions to this therapeutic toy. And what we know now that there are hundreds of families that report problems, some issues with children's mental condition. And we also know there are hundreds of families who receive this therapy reporting that children have improved significantly. And there are some just preliminary statistics which we're gathering at the moment. Here we have 72% of children who report fear as the main emotion at the point of contact. And you can see that after this intervention, over 82% of children report joy as the main emotion after receiving this Hibuki therapy. We train over 110 therapists around Ukraine. More than 10 regional centers have received over 6,000 toys. That means over 6,000, to be exact, 6,100 toys will already distributed to children in different regions, either those children who remain in the targeted regions such as Dnipro and Kharkiv, or those children who moved to more safer areas. Although, as you saw from my previous slide with Russia targeting Ukraine, unfortunately, there is no safe zone in Ukraine. And here I just wanted to spend several minutes talking about a wonderful collaboration with Rotarians that we've started back in April or late March. I would like to say a huge thank you to Daniel and Barton for being great friends, for being leaders in talking to Rotarians, getting Rotarians together, doing wonderful things to support Ukrainians. And I was very honored to receive this a fellowship award in November. And I proudly wear Rotarian Rotarian button here with me. So thank you so much for trusting me to be a fellow of Rotary International, and also for all the wonderful work that all of you are doing to support people not only in Ukraine, but other people in need around the world. And just to say a few words about our collaboration, which started back in April, we are in round 4 right now. And I just wanted, again, to draw your attention to these numbers. We started in round 1 with $57,000. When Daniel, Barton, and John decided that we can do so much more with more districts involved. And I know your districts also, your district came along and supported us throughout these rounds. Round 2, 3, and 4, and after round 4, we're over $1 million that have been deployed to support Ukrainians. In the first round, we only focused on tactical medicine, providing aid to defenders. In round 2, 3, and now 4, we also focus on more sustainable items. For example, in round 3, we've collaborated to obtain some very serious medical equipment, such as X-ray machines, anesthesia machine, and also much needed wound vac devices that help heal the wounds on human body. And they're absolutely needed, and every single hospital asks for many. And think about, again, just the numbers. Over 100 people a day per clinic. So those devices are in great need. And over 10 hospitals have already received equipment and supplies sponsored by Rotary. This is a photo of a clinic in Kharkiv that received anesthesia machine and other supplies from United Help Ukraine and Rotary. And you can see this is a new operating room that is being set up as we speak. 1 operating room, 2 operating room, how many? We can certainly do more. So at least 1 that we can fully equipped, that is going to be operational in no time. So with all this, I just want to say that with your support, with your good hearts, with your kindness, we can do more. And as Ukrainian, I would tell you that Ukrainian people are grateful for the entire world for standing with them, standing against aggressor, standing for defending very dear ideals dear to all of us: freedom, justice, sovereignty. And with your help, Ukrainians can get their land back, they can get their lives back. Not all, unfortunately. Ukraine is paying a really high price for defending its freedom. And freedom is not free, unfortunately. That we know for sure now. Ukrainians know that freedom is not free, but they will not stop until the victory. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you enjoy your evening, and I hope to see you all soon. Thank you.